Hey all, the merriest of Christmases to you, the happiest of New Years to you, and if you are from a part of the world that doesn't celebrate our Christmas and New Year, I hope you had a nice few days off and spent some time with family. Thought I might do a quick medical update, and there's actually a lot to tell, so I might have lied about this being quick, but I will try and get through it quickly because, yeah, there's a bit to go through. So, as some of you will know, I had my last dose of chemotherapy on the 18th of December. That's the Monday before Christmas. And usually chemo is just 3 or 4 hours sitting in a chair getting drugs pumped into me. And it's not too bad. Chemo's supposed to get better as you go along, but I discovered that I kind of got worse. Like sessions 4 and 5 were awful. And session 6 ended up being but a bit more than I bargained for. When I went in, they did a blood test, and my kidneys weren't well enough to take the chemotherapy. You need to have pretty high functioning kidneys. So they bunged me in a hospital bed for the night. And to be honest, that stuff doesn't bother me. It's like you go in, they say you got to stay the night. So I'm okay, well, cool. I've got nothing else better to do. So I stayed the Monday night. They pumped me full of fluids and a bit of antibiotics, and then the next day they did the chemotherapy dose, which was fine. I think I got out of hospital like 6 or 7 o'clock, something like that. Managed to be home for 2 days, and then mum was out, there was nobody home, and I was doubled over in pain. Like I felt like I was going to faint when I was in the kitchen, and I had just really, really bad back pain. And so I called an ambulance, and they were obviously quite busy. I think this was probably maybe the 22nd of December. So I waited for about 2.5 hours, and then in the end, they just still weren't there. And my sister had come free, so she picked me up and took me into the hospital. So they poked and prodded and did blood tests and stuff like that, and couldn't figure out what it was. And then later on in the evening, they came through quite delighted to tell me that I had a kidney stone. I haven't had a kidney stone since I was much younger, living at home with mum and dad. I might have been 19, 20, and it was reasonably awful. That's all I remember, just awful. So, to make matters worse, a normal healthy person, they would go home with pain relief and just pass a kidney stone on its own. It was small enough, I think it was 5.5, 6 millimeters. But given my chemo state, the fact that I'd only just had chemo, the chance of infection and risk to me was too great. So they said that they were going to do a quick operation, their bread and butter operation, where they just, and this is a little bit squeamish, so fast forward 10 seconds if you don't want to hear this. They put a laser up the eye of my penis and they blast it to smithereens. There's nothing left. So during that procedure, they put a rubber stent in that goes from the kidney through to the bladder, and that's just to help protect things. And if any other kidney stones get worked loose, that's supposed to help them come through. So I was in overnight again for that, and then got released to go home, and was pretty uncomfortable. This would have been the 23rd I went home. The 23rd, 24th, 25th was just the usual kidney irritation with urination. And once again, if you're a little bit squeamish, fast forward 10 seconds. The rubber stent that they put in me actually had its own string to remove it. So I had string hanging out the eye of my willy. And the problem with that is that it made you want to pee all the time, but there was nothing to pee, and peeing hurt. So I managed to make Christmas Day. I managed to go to the Christmas breakfast, and I think it lasted a couple of hours there, which was quite good. Then came home, put my feet up for a while, and then went back for the family sort of afternoon brunch, which I only expected to be an hour. If you see all the photos, like I do look like a wreck in them, but I managed to last 4.5 hours. I sat in a chair because moving was not a good thing. And luckily my family loved me and they waited on me hand and foot, which was really awesome. So after Christmas, I think maybe 2 days later, can't quite remember the time frame, but I got a wicked kidney infection, and so I just went back into hospital like quarter past 2 in the morning. Funny thing is, about 3:30 in the morning, like the pain just disappeared and it was just gone. But they were a bit concerned about the oh God, I'll tell you the bit that I've forgotten. Oh my goodness. So okay, if you're a bit squeamish, you might want to fast forward about 20 seconds. So remember that rubber stent I told you? That string that comes out the eye of your pee-pee is so that you can remove it. Or so they can remove it. And apparently you can do it yourself. And I was like, hell no. I want a nurse to do it. I want it done properly, because with my body, anything can go wrong. That was the most horrific thing I have ever experienced. And do you know what? It goodness me, it was just 10 times worse than I could possibly have imagined. And the poor nurse who did it, she said she does them all the time, these removals, and she's never had anybody respond like that before. She was an absolute sweetheart. And I was just so in pain, so embarrassed, so vulnerable. It was awful. And if you fast forward 20 seconds, fast forward some more, um, and like I had to get her to stop. I was like, to stop, 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 10 seconds. I was just stop, stop, stop. You can't do it. I've got to be sedated. You need to sedate me. I can't take it. I can't take it. I can't take it. I was lying on the bed. I was up on my back. It was just so incredibly uncomfortable and painful. And she was like, we don't do sedation. We do breathing techniques for this. And I was like, I don't care. Like I can't do this. I can't do this. And she was like, just relax, just relax, just relax. You tensing up is not helping. And in the end, I was like saying, just do it, just do it, just do it. We'll just deal with whatever happens. Just do it, just do it. And I think she said to me, just do a big groan. And I went, oh, no problems there, love. And I was like, ah! And she did it during that. And holy shit, my body took over the scream. Poor lady sitting outside waiting for the next thing, didn't know what the hell was going on. Thought I was being stabbed. Anyway, if you have fast forwarded, we're still in the squeamish bit. And then just like, I needed to pee and it was just blood. And I was like going, oh my God, I'm not used to seeing blood come out of that hole. And she was right there beside me, the nurse. She was looking over my shoulder. She goes, Dave, this is normal. Don't panic. I've got you. If you faint, I've got you. This is completely normal. Just let it happen. Just don't fight it. Just, try and relax as much as possible, which was really good advice. After that, I sat down in a chair and had a nice hot, strong cup of sweet tea, because it's really good for dealing with shock. However, I was probably in shock for about an hour. So after that, I went home. 18 hours later, this is where I was got to before. 18 hours later, I was back in hospital with this kidney pain at 2:15. 3:30 p.m. it had disappeared. It had gone. They never found out what it was, but they did enough scans to say we're not really worried about it. We think there's a wee bit of an infection going on, so we're going to give you a dose of antibiotics, a course of 5 doses. Those 5 doses are 6 hours apart, so that's 30 hours. Plus, obviously, the doses don't start immediately. They've got to order them. They've got to come up. So, yeah, I was in hospital for a couple of nights. Not that I was too worried about that. Once again, nothing on. And so, a funny story. The morning I was leaving, it was 11:45. They'd taken the line out of my arm and I was ready to go. I was on the phone to Mum. And a breathless doctor comes running into my room. She says, good, you're still here. You need a bag of blood before you go. And I was like, nah, I'm all right. I feel good. She goes, no, you need a bag of blood. She said, usually you get to choose it. She said, but we've just had a meeting of doctors in hematology and your hemoglobin is not where it needs to be. So she said, you can obviously decline it, but you need a bag of blood. So in my condition, I'm not going to decline that. And I was like, what's that, a couple of hours? And she goes, yeah, usually. So, it's 11:45, Mum, don't come in, I'm fine. I need a bag of blood. So 2.5 hours later, I think I got the bag of blood at 3:30. So yeah, after you've had the bag of blood, there's a half-hour flush, and I think Mum finally got me in the car about 6:30. So touch wood, I'm home and I haven't been back into hospital. I did wake up an hour before my gig on New Year's Eve. I'd had a couple of good days. I was out driving around. I was feeling great, and I was like, yep, I can play the gig. We can do this. Done deal. And then an hour before the gig, I woke up with the weirdest of pains in the strangest of places in my stomach. And it was when I was walking and power talking. And I thought, God, how the hell am I going to be able to sing for the night? And I was like, luckily, Jacob can sing all night if he has to. He's done it a lot when I'm not there. But yeah, and so anyway, I got to the gig. The boys were fantastic, waiting by the car to load my gear out because I'm not strong. I can't lift stuff and I can't sort of really bend over a lot. But luckily, the gig playing was actually okay. While I was sitting in the chair and we were singing and playing, I felt great, played great, could laugh, could joke, make jokes and stuff like that. I was almost funny. I know a lot of you won't believe that, but it was good fun. It was a great gig. And just in between sets, when I was walking around and stuff like that, or if people were trying to talk to me in a loud environment, that was kind of a little bit difficult, a little bit frustrating. But got through the gig, was absolutely rinsed at the end of it. And I don't mean drunk, I mean just shattered, really tired. I think the bag of blood and all the energy and adrenaline had just kind of died out of my system. So I really didn't need that annoying lady telling us how good we were, but how loud we were, and then proceeding to talk to everybody in the bar that she could. you know, 12:30 about how loud we were and how much of a better band we would have been if we weren't so loud. So, you know, the owner of the pub and the bar manager, who we've played for, you know, over the last 20 years, were sitting right in front of us, and they never asked us to turn it down. So, you know, anyway, she annoyed the shit out of me, so that would kind of put a damper on the rest of the night. But the highlight for me was the fact that I played great, felt great, and you know, I got through the gig and got to jam out with the boys. You know, I've had to give so many gigs away due to ill health. Yeah, so touch wood, that pain disappeared on New Year's Day, probably about 11 o'clock. Don't know what it was, don't know where it was, right over my appendix or gallbladder. So for those of you who are casting lots on what's going to go wrong with Dave next, for the record, nobody had kidneys, so I reckon I should get the sweepstake money, but nobody agrees with me. Yeah, I've been fine. So yeah, I've managed to do a couple more gigs, and you know, it's been great. If you've got any questions, chuck them through in the comment section. And I'm sorry this video was 11 minutes, but yeah, it's a long story to tell. Just so you know what's coming up, hopefully no hospital trips, no hospital visits for January. About mid-February, they send me in for a thing called a PET scan, where I drink activated glucose or something like that, and they do a CT scan, and the glucose goes to high-functioning parts of your body, and that's usually cancerous areas. So they'll be able to measure how big the lymphoma is, if it's still there, and what future treatments I might need. If I'm clear of the lymphoma, they will urgently book me in to get my stoma released, because the stoma is a hazardous health risk to me, so hopefully I won't go on a waiting list. The stoma removal recovery is apparently a wee bit grim. It's probably 10 to 14 days in hospital. Pain, stomach pain that I probably haven't experienced yet, but they also said they've got drugs that they haven't given me yet. So yeah, apparently that, and then a couple of weeks at home, chilling out. He said that's worst case scenario. He said it's quite a major operation to put stuff back. Obviously, for those of you that don't know, I burst my bowel lining on the first chemo treatment, and so they had to do a bowel resection. So they cut 20 centimeters of my bowel out to get the hole out of it, and then put a stoma bag, which is my small intestine, emptying into a bag which hangs on my stomach. Not great, not sexy. Would, you know, some people apparently elect to keep them. Can't imagine that. Goodness me. But yeah, so putting it back to apparently a little more serious. So there's it sounds like there's one more big hurdle to go, but then maybe in 2 or 3 months' time, I should be back to fighting fit. Maybe back to putting a tennis racket in my hand and scaring people. Badminton. Maybe getting back to work, which would be cool. Become a contributing member of society. As I said, any questions, punch them down below. And yeah, sorry for the 13-minute video.